Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb and welcome to Wordpath. This is the way the module looks. It's shaped similar to Hexamaze, for those who are familiar with that old module. However, one of the catches that you'll see here is that there are going to be plenty of letters inside of them, as well as the module itself is very blue. So this is the way the module looks, and it's actually really simple to do. It's actually really not that hard, and I quite frankly find it a very cool concept. So let's get right into this and see what we need to do here. So on the module, a hexagonal grid of cells, each labeled with a single letter. There's going to be, we're going to have to note down all these letters. In this tutorial, I will be doing the wonderful ability of screenshotting because I don't really care to note down all these letters. Formatting is not my forte, and I'm not going to bother with it. So we'll get the screenshot of this because these letters are all going to be disappearing in just a moment because we need to note down the letters and the cells and their arrangement before pressing the hexagonal button. So now that we have this information, now we can press this hexagonal button. And as you can see, the letters and their cells disappear. And now what we're going to get is we're going to get a very long sequence of different arrows. This is going to be representing us moving around in the grid with some of them being colored blue. These blue colors represent the placement of the letters that we're going to be noting down in a specific sequence. So the arrow will be turning blue exactly 5 times before the sequence repeats. There will be a break. You do not need to note it down like immediately. It's not like a thing that's just going to go away or something like that in a moment. And the letter in the starting cell, followed by the letters of the cells landed on after each blue arrow move, in order, spell out one of the 6-letter words in table X. And as you can see, there are a bunch of different words down here, and as well as a bunch of polyhexes. So there's going to be a series of different polyhexes, and there's going to be a series of different words down in the bottom. We're going to try and figure out which word that we're looking at, but there is a couple of rules that we need to note down for how this actually works, so that we can figure out where we started, because we don't know exactly where we started. It's an unknown starting cell. We need to figure that out. So we're gonna try and figure out our starting cell, and that's going to be based off of these 2 rules. Each move goes to the adjacent cell in the direction the arrow is pointing. Fairly simple, but at no point does the path leave the grid. This does not loop around, and this actually makes it a very simple module to do once you understand that this rule is very important. So the reason why I have this screenshot here is because of the fact that we're going to get our very long arrow sequence, and essentially what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and rule out possibilities that actually leave the grid based off of the arrow sequence. We're still going to follow the white arrows, keep that in mind, but the ones that we're going to note down are the ones when the arrow is blue. We're going to follow the direction and it happens to be blue. That's when we're going to note down a specific letter. For the most part, I wouldn't worry about finding the letters. I would just try and figure out cells that would end up going off the grid if we were to follow said arrows. So we have up right, up right, up left, down, bottom left, down, up right, down, bottom right, bottom left, top left, top left, up, top left, up, bottom right, down, top right, top left, top right, bottom right, and end of sequence. Now let's break this in half just to make it all visible on the same position here. Let's maybe break it in half like here, sort of like halfway. And now let's figure out where these blues actually are. I did note down some of these upright. I'm going to change these all to top right. I was just kind of trying to get the stuff as I can because it was just the sequence was going a bit fast. So top right, and wait for the sequence to come back around. And we have top right, we've got up, we've got top right, we've got up, we've got top left, that's our first blue, down, bottom left, down, top right's our second one, down, bottom right, bottom left, top left, top left, up, top left, up is our next one, bottom right, down, top left, top right, and finally bottom right. Now, I do believe that there is always going to be 5. The last one is obviously going to be the blue, so that's going to be very easy to tell. And just like that, these asterisks represent our blue arrows. This is when, if we land on a specific cell, that's when we're going to note down said letter. Now, the starting cell will always be the first letter too. It will not be necessarily noted down as one of the blue arrows. It will always be the starting cell. That's why it's 6 letters here. So whichever one you start on will be your first letter. So now what we want to do is we want to try and eliminate as many possible options as we can from the starting positions based off of the paths that we have here. And one of the ways that we can do this is I'm going to pull out red here, and I'm just going to start noting an arrow in between each of these guys here. I'm just going to put a line through them, essentially noting down that this is not going to work for us. And immediately looking at the first direction, we have top right here. Top right is going to immediately go off the grid based off of these positions here. If we take a look, this red line represents all of these. If we were to go top right, they would then cause a problem. So, and another thing that immediately comes to my attention is the next direction after it is immediately up. So, if we were to go, for example, start from here, top right and then up, that would immediately go off the grid, and this is not what we want. This goes for all of these directions except for this one. So it's going to go for mainly these guys right here. This little stretch is going to go off the grid. If we go top right and then up, these guys go off the grid. However, if we go top right and up here, this does not go off the grid. It goes to the uniform, and that's where it ends. So next up, we have got top right, up, top right. So now everything that went up here, top right, is now going to go off of the grid. So we can actually immediately rule out this section here too. So that's going to be gone. Now, let's take a look. Top right, up, top right, up. So then we go top right, up, top right, up, top right. A lot of the stuff is going to get ruled out here, as you can already see. Top right, up, top right, up, top right. So it's going to be this section again. Top right, up, as well as here. Top right, up, top right. This one's also going to be ruled out as well. Should have mentioned that. And that looks like it's a good start for the first three directions. Top right, up. Oh my god. Okay. So already, this should already give you a pretty good idea, just based off of these first four movements, that it's going to be probably in the bottom left section here. We don't know exactly where it's going to be quite yet. But essentially, you can get rid of a lot of these guys early on, just by following the directions and going through these guys. So we have top right, up, 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 top right, up. This section is gone. Top right, up, still there. Top right, up, That gets rid of that one. And already we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Already done with basically half of the grid here. Then we go top left, so we go for another up. So top right, up, top left gets rid of you. Top right, up, top left keeps you. So we'll actually note down this O is not there anymore. Top right, up, top left gets rid of the E here. Top right, up, top left keeps that. I think that's all that got eliminated for that time around. Then we go down. Okay, so this is probably where things are going to be a little bit different. And now is probably when you're going to want to try and do guessing and checking. Obviously, you do want to keep moving and try and get rid of as many options as you can. The reason why we're eliminating these letters is because they do go off of the grid. That is going to be essentially the key thing that we don't want to have happen. And once we figure out exactly where we're going to be starting, that's going to be nice for us to take a look around for. So let's see what we can do. So top right, up, top left, down, bottom left, down. Then two more top rights. This is going to be a bit interesting. So top right, up. And honestly, let's just start somewhere that is like semi in the middle and semi won't go off the grid. We obviously can try this. So we can go top right, up, top left, down, bottom left, down, top right, down, bottom right, bottom left, top left, up, top left. The mic goes off the grid. And you kind of just want to follow paths, see which ones work. It generally will be pretty obvious when you see it. So let's take a look and see what else we can do. So we have got top right, up, top left, down, bottom left, down, top right, down, bottom right, bottom left, top left, up, top left, up. That goes off the grid too. And probably is going to be something down, like really far down. Let's try the Juliet to start us off. Let's see where this goes, because Mike, I imagine, just based off of the way that things have been going, top right, up, top left, down, bottom left, down, top right, down, bottom right, down to the delta. Then there's another bottom left coming in here. Then we've got top left, up, top left, up. Yep, falls into the same issue. So it's rid of you. Let's take a look here. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing what we were doing before. So we've got top right, up, top left, down, bottom left, down, bottom right, excuse me. Top right, up, top left, down, bottom left, down, top right, down, bottom right goes off the grid. Same thing for you is probably going to be applying here. Let me just make sure. Top right up, top left, down, bottom left, down, top right, down, bottom right. Yep, immediately falls into the same case scenario. It's likely going to be the exact same thing for you too. It's too close. It's too close to the edge. It just simply doesn't make sense here. So now we're down to 5 positions here. Let's take a look. So we've got top right, up, top left, down, bottom left, down, top right, down, bottom right, then bottom left, then top left, up, top left, up, bottom right, down, top left, bottom right. There is a possibility that this works. Now, one question that I do have is there a word that begins with the letter C, and is there one that begins with the letter Y? Let's check that, because that is a possible path that we can indeed take. Crips, citrus, cavity. Cavity is indeed possible. We do have quite a few of these letters, I believe, present in here. So now, let's follow the path, and let's see exactly what we get. So we obviously start off at position C. In this case, this is going to be our first letter here. We'll go top right, up, top left to A. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go down, bottom left, down, top right to Victor. Victor is the one that with an asterisk. It's another blue right here. Then we go down, bottom right, bottom left is an I. Then we go top left, up, top left, up to Tango. And then finally, bottom right, down, top left, bottom right to Yankee. We have our word found here. And now, let's take a look and let's see what we have to do for the next step here. So we know that our word is cavity. We've found our word and we found the starting position where it starts. Now what do we need to do with this information? Once the path is traced and the word is found, assign a cardinal direction from table P according to the conditions satisfied by the path. So now we need to figure out what this table wants us to do. So there's going to be a series of conditions. We need to essentially apply the first one that applies here in this case for both the row and the column. So let's get into this. And we're going to be given a direction here. And what this direction represents here is the direction of which we're going to be going into one of these polyhexes. We're going to be getting a polyhex from this part here. In table X, move one space from the obtained word in the assigned direction, wrapping around edges of the table if necessary to obtain the polyhex. So it does wrap around. So let's get right into this. So taking a look at what we have here, let's take a look at our rules. So if the path never passes through a cell containing a letter in the serial number, let's take a look at our serial number here. Now immediately, one of the things that we immediately need to note down is you need a path that never passes through a cell containing a letter in the serial number. So we cannot have a cell passing through one of these letters here, but already one of the red flags that's been raised is the fact that we literally have both C and T in our actual word, so this rule is therefore not true. So, if any cell containing a letter in the word is adjacent to the cell containing Zulu, let's take a look and let's see what we have here. So Zulu is where we need to pay attention to. Where is the Zulu in our grid here? Do we even have a Zulu in our grid here? And taking a look around, well, first things first, let's actually mark where our word is. Essentially, if we remember the path here, so it's going to be right here. It's going to be right here. It's going to be right here. Where the hell is the I? There it is. I think it's that one. Cavity, I believe. Where's the Zulu? There is a Zulu in here. So let's see if we actually follow that. Immediately from Charlie, top right up to Zulu here. And one of the things is that if any cell containing a letter is adjacent to the word Zulu, that is indeed true because of the fact that the Charlie in the actual word itself is indeed adjacent to Zulu. This is the first rule that applies for the column. This is therefore our column. Now, let's take a look at the row. If at least one indicator is present and all letters on all present indicators lie in the cells on the path. This rule is a very rare one to apply. That's not right. This rule is a very rare one to apply because of the fact that there can be multiple cases of like a bunch of indicators, which makes it actually very difficult to actually get across this rule. But in this case, we actually have only exactly one indicator. We have FR Quebec. Now let's see if we actually have any of these characters first on here. Is there anything, because we need all of them, is there any characters that actually are not present in this grid here? Do we have a Foxtrot? We do have a Foxtrot. We do have a Romeo, and we do have a Quebec. So we do actually have everything that we've run across here. we do not have any of them in the word, so we're probably going to have to retrace the path. Let's see if we actually run into all three of these cases. So next up, we're going to do top right, up. So we're going to do Zulu, Golf, Victor, Yankee, Alpha, Charlie, Victor. I don't think we ever go up to the Quebec again. I don't think we ever go up that way. Because from the Tango, we went up, bottom right, down, top right, bottom right. Yeah, we never reach the Quebec, so that's immediately not going to be true. So, because we need to have all letters on all present indicators lie on the cells in the current path, we never ran into the case of Quebec, which is at the northmost point. If the path passes through the cell containing Zulu, in this case, this is exactly why I mentioned this, is we do indeed actually pass through Zulu. Zulu is going to be, from Charlie, we go top right, that is immediately landing on our path. Therefore, this is the row that applies here. And now what it wants us to do, it wants us to go up. So if we go up here, up will give us this guy right here. And note that you cannot actually highlight this cell individually, but it will enlarge it when you happen to click on these. So you can obviously enlarge it here, and it will give you a series of different cells. So now, we know what our answer is. We know what we need to do with this, but we know what we have here. But we don't know exactly what we need to do with this. So let's actually get into this bit right here, because we've obtained our polyhex, but we don't know exactly what we're going to be doing with this. Since obviously we're only looking at the arrows flashing here. So now, pressing the hexagonal button again will stop the sequence, and a letter grid will appear. So now we have everything that we need, so let's hit the hexagonal grid again, because now we're into the submission phase of this. So in this state, pressing one of the outer buttons will move the highlight of the cell, highlight to the adjacent cell in the direction it is pointing. Quite simple. As you can see right here, it moves you in the cell. Now, pressing the hexagonal button once more will cause the cells that are visited from this point on to be highlighted in blue. It's very important that when you hit this, you have to hit this at the correct time, and that is essentially meaning you've entered into submission. It will not start immediately highlighting stuff in blue, and note that when you start highlighting stuff in blue, you cannot unhighlight it again. It's just not possible. And the reason why all these polyhexes are the way that they are is because they are going to be designed to be together. They have to be designed to be all reachable at some point. If you go over a cell that happens to be in the exact same solution, so for example, you needed to get back to, for example, this one in the far bottom left. You can go around, obviously, but if you had to go, for example, if you started from the bottom left here, and then you needed to go up, and obviously you need to go back down, you can obviously go back down without having this guy disappear at all. That's not going to happen. The middle one, rather. Bravo 2 if you want to think about it like that. So, once you start submitting, the stuff that you do submit and the cells that you actually do visit will not disappear. That's going to be the way that this works. And this is going to be what's happening here. The boundaries of the cells in the highlighted region must match the obtained polyhex. This is where we get our solution here. We need to build this polyhex in a specific way. But there's a couple rules that we need to pay attention to. The highlighted region must contain exactly one of the cells from which the word was obtained, and this cell must be highlighted in white. So what is going to happen here is that we need to take a look at our positions here. This is why I circled the letters in our word here. And what we need to do is we need to build the polyhex. But what we also need to do is we need to make sure that we have exactly one of our letters appear in the polyhex. And the way that we submit this module is we need to have that specific cell that we land on, the specific cell that is actually the specific letter that is in the word, be the one that is white when we submit it. We'll get into that in just a second. So let's now take a look at our polyhex, and let's take a look and let's actually see how we can actually build this thing, because I can already see an answer that we can already do here. If we take a look at the Charlie, and if we take a look at the thing that we're looking at here, this is going to be the range that we're going to be looking at here. Let me get a let's do purple. So one of the things that you should already immediately purple's bad. No, I'm going to pass on purple. Let's do a bit of a brighter color. Let's do red this time around. So we've got red here, and immediately one of the things that you can see here is that if we were to do this solution, it's going to be a bit rough on the edges, but don't worry about it. And as you can see, we've already built the polyhex, and now what we have to take a look at here is we also have a letter from the word that we got from beforehand, cavity in this case. There's only exactly one of these words that is present in here. So now what we can do here is we can navigate to one of these cells, which in this case is, we can start right here, just as the starting order here. And now what we want to do is we hit the hexagonal button again, we go up, and as we can see, the path that we leave behind us is going to be represented in blue. And note that as you can see here, obviously the blue does not turn off once you start submitting, so it's very important that you have the correct solution. So let's go up, up, and then let's go down. Now, we can't submit this at any willy-nilly time. This is where the third rule comes into place here. This cell, referring to this specific rule right here, the specific highlighted region must contain exactly one of the cells from which the word was obtained. This cell must be highlighted in white. So we need to submit this guy when we have the position where Charlie was at, when it is highlighted in white. So let's hit it. And just like that is a solved module. It is a very neat module that I quite like. I quite like the design of. I quite like the way that it works. And obviously, there we go. The module is solved, and is a very neat submission that I quite like a lot. So let's go over one more example. I will go through this a little bit faster, but as you can see, it is just a lot of using the path that you created from beforehand, or using the sequence of arrows that you have, deducing a lot of options early on. You can deduce quite a lot of stuff early on. And then you will be good to go. Now, one other thing I didn't mention when I was using the arrow sequences is one of the things that you can do is you can start just going off on the path like crazy. But what you can essentially do here is when you get to like a specific arrow point, you can then actually just use the distance it is from the starting cell that you had from beforehand and compare that to the rest of the guys here. If you happen to go off the edge for one specific cell, like say for example, you were 2 spaces bottom left. You were 2 spaces bottom left, like in the middle of the sequence at some point. Every single case that happens to have, every single case that we haven't crossed off yet, that happens to be 2 spaces bottom left and it goes off the edge of the grid, those themselves can actually be crossed off too. So it's essentially just kind of like, it's kind of just like, how do I describe it? Like shortening the work a little bit, if that makes any sense. Hopefully I can explain it in this next example here, but let's take a look at our final example. So let's hit the screenshot again, and it always appears to have one Zulu for the sake of the rules, so let's get right into this. Screenshot, let's get this. So we've got down, bottom right, down, down, top right, up, 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 bottom left, down, bottom right, top right, bottom right, top left, up, top left, bottom left, up, top left, bottom right, down, bottom right. Wow, okay. Down, bottom right, down, down, top right, up, 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 bottom left, down, bottom right, top left, up, top left, bottom left, up, top left, bottom right, down, and finally bottom right. Bingo. Okay, so let's fix this a little bit, just to make it a little bit more even. Yeah, there we go, that works. And now let's take a look at our grid and let's see what we can cross off already. Because remember, we're looking for the starting position. That's exactly what we're going to be doing here. So immediately we can go down, get rid of this entire bottom row here. This is going to be quite nice. A much better screenshot this time around too. So this entire bottom row is clean. That we've just cleaned that off. Now if we were to go bottom right and down, down, ooh, wow, okay, so one of the things that we can already see is we can get rid of half of this right here. This is already going to be getting rid of half of this. We can actually just simplify this. If we go down, bottom right, down, down, that's already going to get rid of this entire row here, and here as well. That's just the way that this is going to work, because if we go down, bottom right, down, down, off the grid, down, bottom right, down, 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 bottom right, down, down. It's the exact same thing for all of them here. Down, bottom right, gets rid of you. Down, bottom right, down, down. Down, bottom right, down, down. Down, bottom right, down, down. This is a really good one here. Down, bottom right, down, down. Not quite for you, not quite for the alpha. And I think for the rest of these, it's not going to be crossed off with the first 4 steps. Down, bottom right, down, down. Yeah. And then we go top right, then up, up, up. Okay, that's going to counter basically all of the downs that we run into. So this is going to be a bit interesting. So let's start following paths. That's just kind of what we're going to do here. What we can do is we can figure out where we end up after all of these steps, maybe after the bottom left. And what we can actually do is we can start from a relative position here. If we were to follow one specific path, what we want to do is we want to check the distance from it after a specific amount of arrow sequences that we follow. And let's see if we can cross up any other options that we actually get here too. Because if we were to start from a specific starting point, say for example, alpha were to end up at, like, after a specific amount of arrow sequences, it was to end up on the India over here. What we could immediately do is we can cross off the Oscar Quebec Bravo and the November Victor India, because if we were to go 2 to the right, if we were to go 2 top right in this case, that would immediately make them go off the edge, and this just doesn't work for them. That's kind of what I mean by just using your applied knowledge of a specific path. Like, it doesn't have to be as long as it's in like the middle of the path and not the end of it, and it does go off the grid at some point, you can cross off as many options as you can. So let's just start following alpha in this case, and let's try and get like halfway through the arrow sequence and see what we can do. Try and get some of these more top options off, and just see what happens. So we can go down, bottom right, down, down, top right, up, 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 back to the delta here. Okay. Then we go bottom left, down, bottom right, top right, top left, up, top left, bottom left, up, top left, bottom right, bottom right. Now, one thing that I immediately realized here is if we go to alpha and we just did the 2 top lefts, it would be a distance of 2. Therefore, these guys are all going to be crossed off here. So we can get rid of this, we can get rid of that. Because it's at some point in the path, from the starting position, it will be 2 top left. Therefore, these guys will go off the edge at some given point. That's what I'm trying to explain here. So top left, bottom right, down, bottom right. Now, one question that I do have is, do we have a case where it's A and C? A being the first letter and C being the last letter. Let's try and see if we can actually figure out something out here. So A being the first, because I might have actually found my word. Adjoin, no. Atomic. Maybe that's our word right there. Let's follow the path for A again, because I might have accidentally found it. Alright, atomic. Let's take a look. So we go, starting from A, of course A is our first letter because the starting cell is always going to be your first letter. We're going to go down, bottom right, down, down. That gets us a tango, and already I'm feeling really good about this one. Top right, up, up, up. Bottom left is O. Yeah, this is definitely atomic. Okay. Bottom left, down. Bottom right, top right. Bottom right, top left. Bottom right is the mic. Top left, up. Top left, bottom left, up, top left is the India, and then we go bottom right, down, bottom right. See the chart. So our word is indeed atomic. Very nice sequence. Let's control Z everything. We know the path that we took here. Now, one thing we want to immediately ask ourselves: do we end up going through the Zulu at all? We immediately go through the Zulu, by the way. Alpha is indeed our starting letter. It is indeed adjacent to the Zulu. That is quite nice. So we can already say that one thing that we need to check here is, do we end up going through any characters in the serial number? Atomic, we already go through the India. This rule, therefore, can be now crossed off. Because we need to try for this rule to apply to never go through any of the characters in the serial number. This rule is actually going to be a bit interesting, and it's actually going to be a bit rare for it to actually happen. Just because of the fact that there is a lot of words that you're going to end up going through, and it's very unlikely that this will ever happen. Though it is possible, it is indeed very much possible that you get like a bunch of Zulus or Quebecs, for example. But still, just keep that in mind. It's a very important rule to keep in mind. Obviously, if you can find one that is in, if you can obviously find a letter that is in the actual word itself, that immediately makes your job so much easier. So it is going to be this rule that applies here. If any cell containing the letter in the word is adjacent to the cell containing Zulu. In this case, our starting alpha was indeed adjacent to the Zulu, and we actually end up going through it as well. So this rule will apply if we don't have any indicators. Mike SA doesn't need to appear. IND, FRK. Do we end up going through K is the question, because K is a bit of a weird one. And does a K even exist actually on here? That is a good question that should be answered because of the fact that that's going to change a lot of things. Does a K exist? And so far, I am not seeing it. I'm going to scan line just to make sure of it because I don't really want to have any issues here. Yeah, I am not seeing a K at all. So this immediately gets rid of this rule because what we need here is we need all indicators. We need all letters of all indicators. We need to go through them at least once. So, in this case, the path passes through the cell that contains Zulu. It does indeed. We go down immediately into it, so that's quite nice. And we do one of the words, one of the letters in the actual word itself is indeed adjacent to Zulu. So now that we have our answer for this, let's take a look and let's see what we need to do here. So from atomic, we need to go up again, and in this case, we're going to get this guy. Now let's remember where exactly each of the letters work. This is going to make our job a little bit easier. So we have the A here, we have the I, we've got the C. I believe the M was right down here. We've got the T. Atomic. Where was the C? That was the C. I believe O was right here. Let me make sure of this. Let me check. Let me do that O again. So down, bottom right, down, down. Obviously, there's the tango. Top right, up, up, up. Oh, that's where the O was. Good. Glad I checked because the O was right here. That would have been a big, big blunder. So this is where the O is at. Let me go. We need to go to the mic. So it's going to be bottom left, down, bottom right, top right, bottom right. Yep, that's the mic. Top left, up, top left, bottom left, up, top left to the India, and indeed to the Charlie where we end. Perfect. So now what we need to do is we need to submit this. We need to submit this sequence. And one of the things I can immediately see here is if we take a look, let's pop it to red again. We can immediately do the O. The O is going to be quite nice for us to do here. This is going to be a very simple solution. The O is the only one that's actually present in the word. None of the other ones are present in this little bit right here, and this is going to be perfect for us to submit. So let's hit the hexagonal button again. Let's navigate our guy over here. It actually is dead center, so that's going to be perfect. So let's hit this guy. Let's get all of these sections highlighted. And now we hit back to where the O originally was. We mark this in white, and just like that is a solved module. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.